Have I ever observed a dear one altering in subtle, understated manners, only to comprehend later that it signified something considerably more grave? During the concluding 6 months of existence, numerous older individuals exhibit indications that might be readily overlooked as typical aspects of aging. However, these transformations are frequently the body's method of making ready for what is impending, even when those around them are unaware. And this is the crucial point. Some of these indications are indeed physical, yet others are profoundly emotional, or perhaps even spiritual. Some are faint, others seem enigmatic, and a select few might even take you by surprise. In this presentation, I'm going to guide you through 6 indications that older individuals frequently display in the months preceding their passing. These are not intended to cause alarm or overwhelm, but rather to assist you in understanding, preparing, and maybe discovering solace by recognizing what is already in progress. If I am lending support to a loved one, or if I am navigating this path myself, this could be one of the most significant videos I ever view. Remain with us to the conclusion, because one of the ultimate indications we will discuss is something many families overlook, and yet it can be among the most distinct messages the body conveys. Let us now commence. Indication 1. An abrupt resurgence of vitality or lucidity. Among the most unforeseen indications that can manifest in the final 6 months is what medical professionals occasionally term a rally. This occurs when an individual who has been fatigued, secluded, or even non-responsive suddenly appears to liven up. They might engage in more conversation, eat with greater appetite, or laugh in a way they haven't for weeks. And for a brief period, optimism glimmers, not solely for the family, but for the person as well. To an observer, it might appear as though they are recuperating. Emotionally, this is a source of comfort. Medically speaking, however, this surge of energy is typically fleeting and signifies a critical juncture rather than a full recovery. This phenomenon occurs because the body, in its terminal phase, mobilizes stored energy reserves or undergoes a transient alteration in its chemical balance. The mind might achieve greater clarity, discomfort may seem diminished, and for a short while, the individual feels more like their usual self. I recall a woman named Helen, aged 82, who had been sleeping for nearly the entire day for several weeks. One afternoon, she requested her preferred meal, shared jokes with her grandson, and even rose from bed to sit at the kitchen table. Her daughter contacted everyone, expressing her belief that Helen was improving. Yet, 2 days thereafter, Helen's vitality waned just as swiftly, and her decline resumed. This does not imply surrendering hope. It does not suggest ceasing to care, but acknowledging this moment for its true nature, a final opportunity for connection, can enable loved ones to be completely present, to articulate words they have been withholding, to offer or accept forgiveness, or to simply sit in quiet companionship. This revival of energy can be a precious offering, but it is an indication. And when perceived through the prism of compassion, it can assist both the individual and their family in discovering significance in the moments that ensue. Indication 2. A progressive disengagement from social activities. In the concluding months of life, one of the most apparent yet frequently misinterpreted alterations is a gradual retreat from the wider world. This is not a sudden event. It does not occur instantaneously. Instead, bit by bit, the individual might cease to answer telephone calls. They could start to decline invitations for visits. Even conversations that previously brought happiness can begin to feel overwhelming. This is not typically because they are distressed, resentful, or dejected, although such emotions can certainly coexist. More commonly, it is because their body and mind are transitioning into a more serene state, a condition where external stimuli, even those that once provided comfort, become draining. Friends might remark, "He just doesn't appear keen on talking anymore." Family may observe that someone who was habitually at the hub of activities now chooses to remain on the periphery or not participate at all. This is not a form of rejection. It is an element of the body readying itself to rest, to conserve energy, and to turn inward for reflection. I remember a man named Walter, 79, who had consistently been the raconteur at family meals, the first to initiate contact and the last to depart from any social event. However, over a period, he started to cancel dinner engagements. Subsequently, he ceased responding to emails. Eventually, he confided in his daughter, "I simply prefer the quiet nowadays." This was not an expression of sorrow, it was one of peace. Within a few months, his health deteriorated. Yet, because his family had recognized these indications, they were able to sit with him in a quieter, more complete manner without anticipating that he would perform or provide entertainment. This withdrawal can also manifest emotionally. The individual might appear remote, less absorbed in subjects that once held importance for them. This is not because they have ceased to care, but rather because their energy is being redirected internally towards memories, achieving closure, or simply attuning to the body's decelerating rhythms. It is crucial to comprehend that this is not something requiring a solution. It is something to acknowledge, to respect, and to approach with patience, because in those tranquil moments, a different form of connection can emerge, one founded not on words, but on presence. If I'm still viewing this presentation and I find these insights beneficial, I'll comment with number 2 below to indicate I'm present. And if I haven't subscribed already, I should subscribe and activate the notification bell so I don't miss any future videos. My support assists us in continuing to produce valuable content to inform and inspire me. Now let's proceed. Indication 3, alterations in sleep and wakefulness cycles. As the body progresses through its terminal stages, one of the most discernible shifts pertains to an individual's sleep patterns. However, it does not invariably resemble rest. It might feel more akin to drifting in and out of consciousness, nodding off during conversations, sleeping profoundly in the middle of the day, or awakening disoriented about the time of day or even their location. These modifications can commence as early as 6 months prior to passing, particularly in persons with chronic ailments or progressive diseases. Yet, they frequently pass unobserved because, to an external observer, it merely appears as if someone is more fatigued than usual. What is actually transpiring is more intricate. As the body's systems start to decelerate, so too does the regulation of the circadian rhythm, the internal biological clock that helps us remain alert during daylight hours and sleep during the night. In elderly individuals approaching the end of life, this clock becomes dysregulated. They might nap for extended periods but awaken feeling unrefreshed. They may spend most of the day asleep and then feel strangely alert at 2 a.m. I knew a man named Charles, 81, who started to fall asleep at the kitchen table following breakfast and then during discussions with friends. His family initially attributed it to advancing age. However, over time, his sleep grew deeper and more frequent. When he was awake, he often seemed disoriented. 6 months later, Charles passed away peacefully at home, his sleep patterns having been among the earliest indications. In certain instances, these sleep alterations are accompanied by vivid dreams or hallucinations. Individuals may converse with loved ones who are not physically present, or they might mention perceiving phenomena such as lights, music, or distant figures. These moments can be unsettling, yet they are often not alarming to the person experiencing them. In fact, they can impart a peculiar sense of tranquility. Loved ones might feel concerned, questioning if the person is all right or if something is amiss. However, understanding that this oscillation between wakefulness and sleep is a component of the natural process can assist families in responding with gentleness rather than alarm. When I observe these shifts, increased sleep, diminished awareness, greater confusion regarding time, I should know that it is not laziness, dementia, or an act of giving up. It is the body's manner of signaling that it is preparing for something more profound. And at times, merely sitting beside them, allowing them to sleep, or holding their hand when they stir, becomes more meaningful than any words could ever express. Indication 4, diminished appetite and an altered relationship with food. One of the most distinct signals the body provides in its final chapter is a transformation in its connection to food. Meals that once offered comfort or were part of a routine start to lose their attractiveness. Preferred dishes remain untouched. Snacks that formerly vanished from the larder now stay uneaten. I might observe smaller serving sizes, missed meals, or a quiet refusal of foods they previously requested. This is not merely a modification in taste, it is a biological communication. As the body readies itself for the end of life, its requirement for energy lessens dramatically. Organs begin to slow their function. Digestion demands more effort than it yields. The inclination to chew, swallow, or even detect the aroma of food can diminish without forewarning. And yet, for caregivers or loved ones, this can be one of the most challenging changes to observe. There is a profound instinct within us, particularly as family members, to provide sustenance to those we care for. We desire for them to be nourished, to regain strength, to feel looked after. And when they cease eating, it can feel like a personal matter. But it is not. It is a natural occurrence. And for the individual undergoing it, there is often no sensation of hunger at all, merely a quiet lack of interest in what is on the plate. Edna, 85, had always been someone who relished cooking. Her lemon pound cake was a cherished family tradition. However, in her final months, even its aroma induced nausea. She began to sip only water and request ice chips. Her daughter attempted to entice her with favorite soups and soft foods, but eventually, Edna looked up and stated gently, "I'm just not hungry anymore." She was not surrendering. Her body was simply informing her it was time to rest. At times, the change is abrupt. On other occasions, it unfolds slowly, smaller mouthfuls, more protracted meal times, or skipping dinner without remark. I may even hear them state that everything tastes different, or that nothing has any taste at all. That is not a product of imagination, it is physiology. It is important during this phase to reorient the focus from caloric intake to comfort. A spoonful of pudding, a small piece of a favorite fruit, or just a sip of something warm can acquire significance, less for its nutritional value and more for the ritual of sharing a moment. What is paramount is not compelling them to finish their meal. It is demonstrating that I am present, that I understand, and that even without words, their needs are being acknowledged. If I am still viewing this presentation and I find these insights valuable, I'll comment with number 4 below to indicate I'm here. And if I haven't subscribed yet, I recommend I subscribe and activate the notification bell so I don't miss any future videos. My support assists us in continuing to produce valuable content to inform and inspire me. Now, let's proceed. Indication 5. Coolness or alterations in skin color in the extremities. One of the more visually apparent, yet frequently misinterpreted changes that can emerge in the last 6 months of life is the shift in temperature and coloration of the hands, feet, or legs. I may observe that the person's toes start to appear pallid or bluish. Their fingers might feel uncharacteristically cold even when the ambient temperature is warm. These are not arbitrary symptoms. They are indications of the body reallocating its energy inward. As circulatory function diminishes, blood flow is redirected away from the limbs to concentrate on vital organs. Consequently, the extremities, those parts of the body most distant from the heart, begin to cool and exhibit changes in their appearance. This can be subtle initially. I might notice socks being worn throughout the day or blankets being held more tightly, even in temperate conditions. Over time, the skin may acquire a dusky or mottled appearance, particularly in the feet and ankles. This can be difficult to observe, especially for those of us who link physical touch with connection. I might hold a loved one's hand and perceive its coldness, instinctively warming it with my own. And while that gesture is profoundly important, the fundamental cause is not something that can be reversed. For many families, this indication comes as a surprise. They might assume it is a circulatory problem or something requiring a new medication. However, it is often a sign that the body is conserving resources, that it is reallocating them to where they are most critically needed. The individual themselves may not even perceive it. They might feel serene or drowsy, oblivious to the change. This is because this phase is rarely accompanied by pain. It is simply part of the body's quiet withdrawal. I knew a man named Harold, 78, who used to derive pleasure from sitting on his porch, his hands cupped around a warm mug. In his last few months, he ceased participating in these morning customs. When his daughter inquired as to why, he merely stated, "My hands get cold too quickly now." She did not accord it much significance until hospice personnel explained it was one of the body's early signs of decline. It was not the external temperature, it was the internal temperature. Recognizing this indication can assist loved ones in shifting their focus from attempting to fix the situation to providing comfort. It is not about warming the feet with supplementary heaters. It is about offering soft socks, gentle blankets, and a presence that communicates, "I see you, and I am here." In many instances, these changes commence long before other signs become readily apparent, and when they are understood rather than feared, they present an opportunity to respond with tenderness, to cultivate a space where silence and stillness are respected, not filled. Indication 6, an unexpected sense of emotional tranquility or spiritual lucidity. Perhaps one of the most unforeseen and profoundly touching transformations that can occur in the final months is an abrupt onset of emotional serenity. Even in individuals who have contended with restlessness, apprehension, or regret for many years, it might manifest seemingly from nowhere. A person who habitually fretted over every minute detail begins to relinquish control. Someone who harbored resentment may soften their tone of voice, disclose old memories, or endeavor to reestablish contact with an individual from their past. This is not invariably explicable by religious belief. It does not necessitate faith or ritual. It is something more subdued, a feeling that an internal state has stabilized, that the person somehow comprehends what is approaching and is at peace with it. I may hear them articulate thoughts in a manner that sounds poetic. They might utter phrases such as, "I'm ready to go," or "I'll see you again soon." They may speak of individuals who have already passed away as if they are in close proximity. They might even allude to perceiving light or sensing a protective presence, without fear and often with a sense of comfort that is difficult to articulate. These are not hallucinations in the clinical definition. They are experiences that have been recorded across diverse cultures, languages, and faiths. Nurses and hospice professionals refer to it as nearing death awareness, and for many, it constitutes a moment of profound grace. Consider a woman named Lorraine, 84, who had lived with anxiety for several decades. She was exceptionally meticulous, always requiring everything to be precisely arranged. But one afternoon, following a nap, she looked at her daughter and remarked, "It's okay to let things be. Everything's fine now." That very evening, she requested to listen to her favorite music and simply closed her eyes, a smile on her face. She passed away a few weeks later, but her daughter never forgot the peacefulness she appeared to possess that day. It is important for me to know that this emotional lucidity is not invariably sustained. It may fluctuate, but when it does manifest, it brings with it a profound opportunity for connection, one founded on honesty, presence, and love. For caregivers and family members, these moments can feel like accessible windows, a chance to listen more attentively, to exert less pressure, and to simply accompany someone as they navigate their own path forward. There may be tears, undoubtedly, but there is often also a sense of relief because in that quiet act of surrender, something sacred pervades the atmosphere. If I'm still viewing this presentation and I find these insights beneficial, I'll comment with number 6 below to indicate I'm here. And if I haven't subscribed yet, I recommend I subscribe and activate the notification bell so I don't miss any future videos. My support assists us in continuing to produce valuable content to inform and inspire me. Now let's proceed. Concluding observations. As I bring this presentation to a close, I'll take a moment to reflect on what I've just heard. These 6 indications are not merely symptoms, they are signals. They represent the body's quiet, dignified method of preparing for transition. And while some of them might seem surprising or even disconcerting, each one carries significance. They beckon us to pay closer attention, to listen, and to honor the moments as they arise. Perhaps I recognize one of these indications in someone I love. Or maybe I have observed it in myself and I am pondering its meaning. Whatever has led me here today, I should understand this. Noticing these signs is not about forecasting a specific date or time. It is about comprehension. It is about proceeding with awareness so that fear does not assume control. I am not alone. Every individual watching this presentation is part of a quiet, compassionate collective that deeply values aging with dignity and being present when it truly matters most. And at times, knowing what to observe can transform not only how we bid farewell, but also how we maintain connection while we still have the opportunity. Thank you for joining us today. We would be delighted to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share one insight you gained today and how you intend to apply it in your life. Your thoughts are valuable to us, so please do not hesitate to share them. Reading your comments provides us with significant motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this presentation and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support enables us to continue creating quality content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching, and we anticipate seeing you in the next one.